Afros are not to be worn over an inch. Afros are not to be worn over an inch. That was once my school's hair policy. And this discriminatory policy showed my school's lack of cultural competence. And it also signaled that young black men like myself could not fully express my cultural traditions, and that somehow my blackness needed some adjusting. My name is Kawika Smith. I'm 17 years old, and I attend an all-male Catholic Jesuit high school located in South Central Los Angeles, where a third of the students are black. I've always had a passion for youth activism. I serve as my school's Black Student Union president, as well as a youth representative for my neighborhood council. Mainly because I believe that youth will inherit today's world, so we ought to be at the table of decision making. Yes, my school had a hair policy that prohibited black students from having an afro over an inch. And as one of many black students who have an afro over an inch, I was greatly bothered. I began to ask, why? Why is it that a school located in Watts, with a third of your students being black, prohibiting students from growing their hair out over an inch? Well, their reasoning is because of our work study program, where every student is assigned to a company where they would intern. But some of these companies were prohibited hairstyles traditionally worn by black people: afros, locks, braids, and even twists. Essentially, students were being offered 4 years of corporate work study experience at the cost of them not showing up as their full self. In other words, you are neither to be seen nor heard. Since adults did nothing to challenge nor to remove this discriminatory and exclusive policy, I took action. You see, the problem is that these companies were allowed to strip us of our culture and to conform us to these capitalistic and Eurocentric standards of beauty and professionalism. And among the issues that I witnessed at my school, I've seen students get suspended because of their hair. I've even seen students get admitted to my school and told that they must cut their hair. I've even watched as one student who had a nervous breakdown at the result of a dean who told him that his afro looked like a helmet, and that his afro was weighing down on his head, causing him to become slow in the classroom. This same dean had the nerve to tell me, "Come on, Kawika, people with dreadlocks stink because they don't wash their hair." People with dreadlocks stink because they don't wash their hair. Guess she didn't meet Senator Mitchell, but I did. I found myself in spaces with folks like Senator Mitchell, who has locks, Dr. Angela Davis, and Miss Angela Rye. And I began to tell them what was going on and ask for their help. And with their help, I had sent my principal an email on February 24th, 2018 at 8:31 p.m., detailing my concern. I told her how it made me feel like I couldn't be both black and educated, and to have a meeting to remove this policy. And in fact, we did have meetings. But during the last meeting, I was asked to measure my hair, and a ruler was put up to my hair. And my principal came to the conclusion of 3 inches. Yes, you heard me right, 3 inches. And with this new policy, it took effect this new school year. But following the meeting, we had an assembly to highlight this new policy. And while I felt like I just agreed to the modern-day 3/5 compromise, I ensured all my peers knew that this was just the beginning. This new policy took effect this new school year, and it stated that students may not come to school without properly moisturizing, shaping, and manicuring their hair. Oh yeah, and hair can be 3 inches. But I still had a problem with it. So prior to the meeting and prior to the assembly, I crossed paths with Senator Mitchell, and I told her what was going on, and she was bothered. Bothered that students are still being told that they must compromise their blackness. Then when I told her what my dean had said, she became angry. And she reminded me, "Kawika, the next time that somebody tell you that people with dreadlocks stink because they don't wash their hair, you remind them and tell them that Senator Mitchell said, last time that I checked, I don't stink. And my locks are clean." And I walked out of her office that day with a signed picture of her, and with her telling me that. But what she didn't tell me was that on January 30th, 2019, she would introduce SB 188, Senate bill, known as the Crown Act. Crown standing for creating a respectful and open world for natural hair. And this policy took effect. It passed the Senate and also the Assembly, and it's set to take effect on January 1st, 2020. The governor signed it on July 3rd, 2019. Let's take a listen to what Senator Mitchell had to say.
I have heard heartbreaking reports of young black girls humiliated and sent home from school because their hair was deemed, quote, unruly and a distraction to others. Can we truly say equity exists when our children are denied the right to remain in class and learn because of the characteristics, the natural characteristics of their hair? Where is the justice when black men and women are denied access to economic advancement because of the way they choose to wear their hair? Eurocentric standards of beauty have held the underpinnings of American culture since the founding of our society, determining and informing what was acceptable and attractive in the media, academic settings, and at work. So the purpose of SB 188 is to collectively define and protect what we're calling protective hairstyles, braids, locks, or twists, because we should have the right to wear our hair as we choose.
As Senator Mitchell said, where's the justice? Where is the justice when I'm sent home and charged $175 a day until I cut my hair because my hair was deemed unprofessional? Where is the justice when I'm handed clippers on site at school to cut my hair to be deemed professional? Where is the justice? If students are not able to speak on the issues that affect their day-to-day, it can lead to dangerous repercussions. A policy against hair is one thing, but these same policies can morph into discriminations against sexual orientation, religious practice, and overall safety. The time is now that we let students speak and be heard. They know what our future needs. And you all have heard me speak about my experience, so what? Well, here's what. Now is the time for adults to leverage their power and authority and to uplift the voices of youth rather than to silence and oppress them. If not, innovative and fresh ideas, untainted by spent time with experience and routine, will never see the light of day. Now is the time for youth to harness the power of youth organizing and to remind ourselves of the power that we had at our fingertips. We evoke change and attempted to be drawn to things that matter. If we choose not to, we will remain regarded as incapable of leading effective change. The time is now that we make room at this table for everyone and allow all parties to be heard. If we do not, democracy would have failed us, and our future will be plagued by old ideologies, and fear-mongering will forever be the tool of those in power. But when it's your turn, you must stand on top of the table rather than simply bringing a chair.